So hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is one that I am so excited about. Let me tell you, I did hang up, right? I did. Okay. I'm recording this intro after the actual interview. Today I got to talk to Daniel Hart, who does the music and the score and all of the beautiful things that your ears hear in Interview with the Vampire. I have been insufferable about this show since day one, since the show came out. I've been very annoying about it. And I reached out to Daniel, and Daniel said, yep, I'll sit down and I'll talk. And he's just such a lovely individual and such a brilliant mind. I just love hearing people talk about their art and their craft. And I sound like a broken record, but there's something about hearing a creative brain just talk, you know. And Daniel is definitely one of them, and he's such a sweetie. And it's very early in the morning for me. It's very early in the morning for me, okay? And I've been up since like 7 a.m. preparing for this. I'm just so happy it came to pass. Daniel, thank you so much for sitting and talking. I just love the bones of you. And yeah, we talk all things Interview with the Vampire. We talk all things Lestat, obviously with season 3. We talk all things music, theatre background, all the usual fun stuff that you'd expect from a sit-down chat-style interview with the genius. Yeah, I mentioned this to Daniel at the end of the interview. I really relied a lot on the season 1 soundtrack last year. You guys know I've talked about it on my channel. Last year was just difficult for me. And season 1 was like a crutch. She was coming in clutch for me. So yeah, getting to talk to the person that was at the helm of that and that was behind all that was really beautiful. It was really quite gorgeous, and getting to, hear some of the magic behind the music. It was just amazing. So big thank you to Daniel for sitting and talking. Guys, I hope you enjoy this. If you're here, you're obviously an Interview with the Vampire fan. You're gonna enjoy this. Yeah, here's my interview with Daniel Hart. Okay, so before we get started with the more current and up-to-date work that you've produced, how did you get into this line of work to begin with? Because it is so specific, and a career in the arts as well, it can be hard to convince family and friends that it's going to work out. So how did it start for you?
I've been playing music since I was a little kid. Both of my parents were professional musicians. So I didn't have some of those roadblocks that some people have, where their family's not supportive of their creative aspirations. What I really wanted to do was be like a successful rock and roll musician, like I don't know, rock star. Maybe not that, but just like playing like a band that was big enough that everybody could pay their rent and maybe save a little money. And I played in lots of bands, starting in university, I guess, when I played in my first real band. That turned into a small career, playing in my own band and then playing in other people's bands as a hired gun and playing in my friends' bands. It was barely enough money to make my bills and everything. Not really a sustainable career for the most of the time that I was doing it. And then in 2009, this younger filmmaker in Dallas, David Lowery, came and saw one of my bands play a show in town on tour, and he really liked our music and he thought it felt cinematic, and he was making his first tiny film at the time. He asked me if I would be willing to write a couple pieces of music for his film. I had never thought about doing it. I wasn't trying to pursue film scoring. Just wanted to play in bands. But I liked him and I liked his movie, and I sat down with a Mellotron emulator called Mtron on my computer, and I wrote 2 short pieces of music for David Lowery's tiny micro-budget first film called Saint Nick. And I really enjoyed it. I liked him, liked working with him. And so then the next year he got funding to make a short film, which, even though it was much shorter than Saint Nick, required more music because he wanted the whole thing to be scored. So I wrote about 10 or 11 minutes of score for this short film, and then that premiered at Sundance, and that was really well received. And then David got money to make like a proper feature, first full feature, and he asked me to score that. And that's it, really. Like, he just keeps asking me to do things, and I keep saying yes. And then people hear the stuff that we have worked on together, David and I, and they like the music that I wrote for him, and then they want something similar for their project, or then I get to do something different, and then somebody else hears that, and so on.
Do you ever miss touring?
I miss it all the time.
Really?
I feel like there's a gaping hole somewhere in here where the touring should be slotted in.
They're worlds
But
apart. What you do now and touring music.
yeah, I mean, it is still both music. Like, it's not like I was swimming with sharks and now I'm writing philosophy, but uh, it does feel different to me, a different brain. Mm, there's not much in what I do now that fulfills my desire to be a performer, and that's probably the thing that's missing the most. That and there's also not much in what I do now that allows for direct and immediate interaction with audiences of any kind
Mm.
related to the music. I make it mostly here in my little home studio. I make it here, and then it gets seen by people in places that I'm not at. And we talk online, and that's fucking awesome. And especially
Yeah,
the fans of Interview with the Vampire have been so sweet to me, and it's really meaningful. It's really meaningful what people get from the show and the way that they're willing to reach out to me and share their feelings about the show and about the music in the show. It's incredibly rewarding, but it's just different. It's different from if I was going to play the music from the show in front of all those people in a room.
that's an event that I can guarantee would sell out. You could be guaranteed. But yeah, like with the interview, I mean, it's a massive show with big feelings, big emotions, and to be able to convey such strong emotion through sound, through music, it's a gift. It really is. And the soundtrack, it struck me. And it's one of the few soundtracks I actually went out and bought on CD. Yes, I still collect
Mm-hmm.
physical media. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it just felt like kick after kick to the emotions, each different song, and it just I know it goes without saying, but music can really enhance a scene in a moment and help stick the moment in your mind. But for you, when you're starting out a piece or a song,
Yeah.
how does that start to come to pass for you? Are you given a script? Is it a brief kind of tonal overview of the scene?
I usually try to do as much work as possible after I've seen an episode, because I can work off of scripts, and I do, and sometimes I have to, especially if there's on-camera music. In season 2 of Interview with the Vampire, there's so much music happening on camera. All that had to be written before the scenes could be filmed, otherwise it wouldn't look or sound right. So there's that. But most of the time, if I can watch a scene first or a whole episode, then I know what music to write. It's all like little puzzle pieces, little clues in the episode are telling me what the scene needs, what the episode needs, what instruments to use. And then I follow those clues and I try out those things, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And if they don't, then I try something else. And as usual, most film and television stuff, there's temp music in the episodes when I get them to work on them, and so that is sometimes a guide to work off of, and then sometimes it's less helpful, and then I try to ignore it. But especially in television, there's so much music to write, and it has to be done in such a short amount of time that sometimes we have to rely on like reference music to get it done.
And is there a particular instrument that comes to mind first?
That I use to write
Yeah.
mostly piano for this show. Mostly piano. It's usually either piano or violin or guitar. Those are my 3 main instruments. yeah, a lot of piano these days.
Mm.
My parents were both pianists, so it's not that far of a reach for me. Although I never studied it as a kid. As a kid, I just studied violin. That was my main instrument.
Mm.
But my parents were always there and playing piano and accompanying me, and I would sing in their church choirs, and they would play piano and organ at church. And my dad gave me a few piano lessons when I was in my early 20s, I think, maybe my late teens, when I started learning the instrument.
I'd say they're happy that they helped nudge that little interest along.
My mom, we made these orchestral videos for Interview with the Vampire. You get to see the orchestra playing the piece. We did that for a few pieces of music each season, and my mom keeps watching the one for Vicious, and then she'll tell me like once every few weeks she'll tell me that she watched it again and tell me how good she thinks it is. And I know that she means it because my parents were never good at giving fake compliments. They if they didn't like it, they just wouldn't say anything.
Very
So
upfront and honest.
there's definitely an honesty to it. I would rather, I don't know, if they didn't like it, I would rather just say no, I didn't really like it, rather than say nothing. But yeah, yeah. At least I know when they really actually like something and they tell me that that's true. They're not just trying to
Mm.
make me feel good, although it does make me feel good.
It's so funny that you bring up that your mom brought up Vicious because that when I discovered the videos, all the like the orchestra videos and the up close and personal videos of the songs being performed, I was like, please let there be one for Vicious because that is probably my favorite piece of music from the whole show. It's from my
Mm.
favorite scene, favorite episode. It just destroys me. But those videos, I don't think I realized how many like moving parts there actually was to each piece. Because you hear it, and to a regular person like me, you think, oh yeah, big orchestra, probably at least six people. But then you see it on camera, and it's like, holy shit, okay. So it's a hard with all the working pieces. I mean, you had people that weren't even in the room. I think the drummer wasn't in the room. They were in a separate place.
Let's see. For Vicious, there was timpani in the room, and there was harp in a separate room, but in the same recording studio. In season 2, we did a bunch of like extra percussion stuff, and Bobak Lutfipur, who works with me on everything and who writes additional music for Interview with the Vampire, did all that percussion stuff. And so there are videos where he's doing percussion stuff separately from the orchestra. But for Vicious, no, I don't think so. I think all the stuff was there in the room with the orchestra. Mm-hmm.
How many
So
takes would a piece like that take then?
how what?
How
What'd you
many
say?
how many takes roughly would it take to
How
get
many
the one?
takes? Gosh, I don't remember how many takes we did for Vicious. It varies a lot from piece to piece. Some pieces we would get in a couple takes. We always do at least two. The second one's called a safety, just in case we missed something that went wrong in the first one. It's sometimes hard in the moment to hear everything that
Mm.
goes on, especially with so many parts and so many musicians. 50, I think it was 50 people in the orchestra for season 1, and then 54 for season 2, something like that. Um,
Oh.
yeah, but then other pieces, especially the longer pieces, we would record them in sections because it's a limited amount of time that we have with the orchestra. It's very expensive, so we're trying to get a lot of work done quickly. And with the longer pieces, I can't actually remember if we specifically did this with Vicious, but it is a thing that we would have done with something like Vicious, is to split it up into sections. So we would take like the first 30 or 45 seconds and record that all together until we hit like a natural breaking point,
Mm.
and then pick the piece back up in the next round of recording. And so that way we're doing it sort of piecemeal. And so then I could say that it was like 6 or 7 takes, but that's just to get through the piece one time. So like probably 2 to 4 total takes. Is 4 is about the most that we have the time for because we have to get through so much music with the orchestra.
I can't imagine the workload that you guys have. But I was right, there's at least six musicians in the
There
orchestra.
are at least 6. Yes, there are definitely 6 people in that room.
But when you're going then and you're doing like when you're revisiting past songs, and Come to Me is the perfect example. Again, that song, oh, from the second I heard it. I mean, my mother introduced me to the show. She got obsessed with it and wore me down till I watched it. And she just kept saying, just watch it, you're gonna love it. And I did. But she kept saying, I'll say one thing and it's not a spoiler, come to me. And I was like, okay. And she's like, you'll know it when you see it and you hear it. That song is just so beautiful, but revisited, it's completely different tonally
Hmm.
in season two. So for you, going in and trying to hear that through a different lens and portray it, how do you approach something like that? And do you like tampering with the perfection that is the original piece?
Yeah, it was super fun. It was super fun to break it down and build it back up, and to write new lyrics, and for the lyrics to be like cheeky and
Mm.
shitty and mean and funny. Yeah, a lot of fun to make that. And then when we recorded Sam's vocals, he was in Prague on set. I think it was Prague, or it might have been somewhere else in the Czech Republic, but somewhere there. And I was at home. I was here. Um, and Rollin, the showrunner, was there. Or where was he? Maybe he was in London, or maybe he was in the room. We do so many of these; it's kind of hard to keep track. Anyway, we were all there in one way or another, and yeah, there's a little like throwaway line where Lestat says, "Oh, that's very good. I like that." Something like that. It's like sing something. It's like, I like that. Yeah, that was something that was Rollin's request. Rollin asked Sam to put in a little throwaway line there. I think that really completed the picture. Really gives you a real insight into Lestat.
Mm.
Smart writing on Rollin's part.
And yeah, I would say with Lestat as well, it's a challenge, but it must be a fun challenge coming up with anything for that character because, he is so flamboyant and bold and over the top. But with season three, it's all Lestat centered, vampire Lestat. Hello, I mean, I heard the song, saw the trailer, and went, right,
Oh
we're all in. Season three is
wow,
we're in.
that's awesome, Kate.
Thank you. But with long face, like it's big, it's theatrical, it's everything that Lestat is. One of my favorite comments, and I actually have a note of it here. One of my favorite comments on YouTube under the video was R.I.P. Freddie Mercury. You would have loved the vampire Lestat, and it's true. You can kind of hear reminiscence or reminders of Queen. There was a bit of White Stripes, I thought as well, influence in there.
So, yeah, I think so
Um,
too.
but when you're attacking that, and I don't know how much you can talk about, and it's fine if you can't. The process obviously must be so much different to what you have been doing for the show because it's rock band, it's modern. Even though personally you have a lot of experience with that, obviously. But what's that been like so far?
It's been awesome. I guess I'll just talk about Longface because that's already out in the world, and
Yeah.
that's fine for me to talk about. I'm not sure what else I can actually, what I'm actually allowed to say beyond that. But yeah, writing Longface, and then writing other songs in the same world for Lestat is super fun. Um, the songs have to work with the scripts,
Mm.
so lyrics get changed to make sense within the world of the story that we're telling. I think the first time I showed Longface to Rollin, he said, "Well, what's this? What's this line about? What is this line about? What is that? What is that referring to?" And some of them I was like, "Hey, look, I'm just, this is our first round. This is my first draft. I'm writing things that feel like things that Lestat would say. I'm writing things. I'm imagining him saying it to someone in the audience at a show. So I think it's to that person, but it would be like a different person every night. So I don't know. That's to everybody, I guess, or to nobody, or to whoever he's gonna fuck when he gets done and when he comes off stage. I don't know. And Ron's like, well, you better figure out who it's to because Sam's gonna ask you, and he's gonna need an answer. I don't know. Sam never actually asked me. I think Sam either decided for himself or Rollin told him what Rollin thought. But yeah, writing lyrics that feel like things Lestat would say. It's a challenge because he's I don't know. He's everything. He's so dramatic and smart and sexual and impulsive and violent, angry. Yeah, he's like every emotion all the time. Making Long Face, yeah, per what you said, I come from a songwriting background. I've written a lot of songs in my life, and I definitely grew up on what we called classic rock. Like when my family moved to Texas when I was 10 years old, um, there's a radio station called 92.5 KZPS, and they played what they called classic rock, and it was like pretty straight ahead rock and roll from the 60s, 70s, and a little bit of the 80s. Like a lot of Led Zeppelin, David Bowie.
Mm.
I remember I heard Chicago's song 25 or 6 to 4. I called the radio station. I called them up. This was the 80s. There's no Shazam. I called them up. I was like, "What song is this? What song is playing right now? It's amazing." So I grew up on that stuff, and I've written a lot of songs. So to that end, I felt like writing Longface, it came pretty naturally. Was not difficult as songs go. And I guess I've spent enough time with Lestat now to feel like I know some things about him and about what he would write about and sing about. And I've watched Sam's performances over and over again as I'm writing music for all these scenes. And it's well, we're entering a new era because the story is being told from a different perspective now. We still, I think, can believe that there's some truth to the version of Lestat that we've seen in seasons 1 and 2. So I wrote with that Lestat in mind, and then the Lestat from the book, The Vampire Lestat. And it happened pretty fast, I think. I think Roland told me that we needed a song for Comic-Con like a month before Comic-Con, something like that. And then I wrote it, and then we recorded it, and then it was done.
In under a month?
I can double check. I think so. It was sometime in the summer.
That is a quick turnaround. Good for you. Jeez.
Well, just like, again, this TV world, everything has to go so fast.
Mm.
So fast. Like, most times I have to write 30 to 40 minutes of music in like a week to 10 days. So it's like making an album every week and a half.
Jesus.
That's it's not something that I could have done, I don't know, 15 years ago, but I've been doing so much film and television work now for so long. I sent it at the end of June. I would have spent time writing it before then.
Mm.
And then Comic-Con was at the end of July. So yeah, I'm going to say it was like 6 weeks. Yeah, 6 weeks. And if I have to make whole albums in like 10 days, that feels luxurious to me.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but like, would there not be that part of you that's like not nervous, but you're dealing with a character? I mean, like I said, Lestat, my guy is larger than life. I mean, my brother's in a band, so he's done singles and EPs and stuff, and I know how long it would take him to do something. You know what I mean? So churning out a
Yeah.
single for Lestat in that amount of time, that's impressive.
If I was writing my own music for my own band, it would take me like a year.
Mm.
But writing for someone else
Yeah.
is a lot easier. If I don't have to like try to bare my soul in 3 minutes, then it's a lot easier, I think. It's a good lesson. I'm a father now. I have an 11-month-old son, and when my partner was pregnant with him, I wrote and recorded an album of children's songs about animals. And it's about, I tried to finish it before he was born. That didn't happen. It's about 70% done. And if I can find a little bit of time I'll finish it this year, put it out in the world. Writing songs about animals, really enjoyable and pretty easy for me. Writing songs about myself, get it.
Because it's deeply personal, and it's like opening your diary in a way and being like, here, have a look at that, won't you?
And I think Lestat songs will inevitably be, they'll come from my life experience in one way or another, because I'm the main songwriter for the songs. So if it comes from me, then it has to do with me. Um, as much as I'm writing for someone else, there's some of me in there.
Mm.
And I think I feel good about the level of honesty and vulnerability that's going into these Lestat songs. I don't know why it's so much easier if I pretend it's someone else.
I cannot wait for season three. I'm so sickeningly excited. I swear to God. How did you find the response to the trailer and to the song?
I read some comments. I really enjoyed reading. I probably went through like 100 YouTube comments or something like that. I really enjoy reading the negative ones. It really, it really made me smile. The ones that were like, oh gosh, I don't. It's been too long now. I don't even remember what they were. Basically, like, this song sucks. The song's boring. The music from Queen of the Dam was so much better. If they were smart, this TV show would hire Nine Inch Nails to write all the songs. That's what it's supposed to sound like. Yeah, yeah, all valid. I love that people are willing to express themselves, and it keeps me from being too I don't know, precious about it, I guess.
Queen of the Damned. I wasn't a huge fan of the original film, Interview with the Vampire. I kind of
Mm,
more favored Queen of the Damned over that. And I get that people get attached to the original works and it's sentimental for some. If you watched it like the first time around when you were younger, I didn't. I missed that train. But like you have to reinvent something and make it different. Otherwise, you're just doing a carbon copy of what came before. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. And the I'm not gonna do an impression of Corn that's any better than Corn.
Yeah.
And so that thing, it already exists. Like, you have it. You can go listen to it anytime you want. Why would you want someone to do like a slightly shittier version of it for you?
You should have done a hybrid. You should have been like, fine, I'll give you Queen of the Damned, but there's going to be all animal lyrics because I'm morphing my two projects together. Find something different. What do you think of this? It's funny
This
'cause
next song of Lestat's is called Carl the Kangaroo.
oh my God, I know the internet would eat that shit up. They'd be like, yes. But it's funny because I remember I was online the day the trailer dropped and I was under the video as well. I was reading the comments, but it was mostly Twitter.
Mm.
People were just going feral for it, myself included. Everyone was like, "What does this line mean? Oh my God!" And the what was it? The "Here Come the Gays" took me out when I first heard it. I was like, "Oh my God, season three is going to be something." And that's the kind of side of things I saw the day that it came out. It was people just freaking out.
Yeah. Yes, I read all that too, and I love it so much. It makes me so happy. It really makes me happy. And I loved writing that line.
Mm.
Felt very Lestat to me. Felt very true to the Lestat that we know.
And like, look, we've had obviously we're gonna have a lot of Lestat in season three. We're gonna have a lot of big, beautiful musical moments, and I can already feel that there's probably gonna be lyrics that I'm gonna get tattooed on me, and I'm like, all right, we need to save some space for that. Um, but like we've had, obviously, you do a lot of theme songs for characters or kind of scores for characters throughout the seasons.
Yeah.
Lestat, my guy has his whole back catalogue. Armand had his theme. Claudia had a theme, but she also had what was it? I don't like windows.
She did.
Uh you've been asked this already, but like I have to ask it. Are we gonna get a Louis number? Because come on, Raleigh Ritchie owns my heart, and I'm like, let my man sing.
I don't know. I don't know. If I knew, I probably couldn't tell you anyway, but I actually don't know.
Very true.
I don't know. It's too early. It's too early to know.
And
Yeah,
with
Jacob's amazing. I love him. He's brilliant. He's a brilliant actor. He's a brilliant singer. He's a brilliant performer. Lovely guy. I love involving him as much as possible.
hopefully someday we will get a Louis number. Maybe he'll write his own breakup album about Lestat and he'll be like, actually, fuck you. Here's my side of the story.
Sounds
But
good to me.
he's briefly touching on I don't like windows just because I completely forgot. When you're doing something like that, then that's a theater production in a show. So
Yeah.
when you're writing or trying to come up with a score for that, again, is the process completely different? Because I think I heard somewhere that you studied playwright or you were going to study playwright.
My undergraduate degree is in playwriting from university.
Mm.
That's what I studied. I wanted to do theater. I wanted to be a professional playwright. Um, but that very quickly out of university just kind of went nowhere.
Mm.
I did a bit of theater stuff. I moved to New York after university. I lived there for a year, and I did some theater stuff while I was there. I was in two one act plays that performed at Edinburgh Fringe that year, and they were terrible, and I was not that great in them either. Um, Ironically, one of them, I played Dracula, and in the other one, I provided music for a different vampire play.
Oh my God, that's weird. Oh, that is weird.
um, yes, so it's been a while since I've done anything on the theater side of things. I did some music for live theater after school for a couple different projects, and that was after the Fringe stuff, and that was fun, really enjoyable. I really liked it, and probably like the very first version of me doing what I do now. Is doing live music for a play on stage. But other than that, I haven't done theater stuff for a long time. So yeah, the theater stuff in season two was like a very nostalgic part of the show for me,
Hmm.
and it felt really easy to get into that. I really love musicals. Love. I listen to West Side Story. I listen to West Side Story today. I
Hmm.
listen to West Side Story so much. So writing I Don't Like Windows was a total dream of a job. And all the theater stuff was such a dream. It was so cool. All the animation, all the stuff that 1927 Theater Company did for the show. Just brilliant. And Rollins, a theater person, and
Hmm.
he brought that in. And Hannah Moscovich, who writes on the show, who's written some of all of our favorite lines on the show. Theater person, celebrated Canadian playwright Hannah Moscovich. Um, yeah, just a bunch of theater people here making this vampire show. That's what we are.
Probably why a large chunk of the fandom is theater kids. I'm the same. I love musicals. I love theater. It was never in one. I came very close and I ran for the hills. I said no thank you after auditioning.
Mm.
Um yeah, but season two did kind of have that very arty kind of theater kid vibe to it that I absolutely adored. And I just wondered like artistically, stylistically, would that have been difficult for you? But I guess having your theater background, no.
I don't think so. Yeah, it felt like it came to me pretty easily. That was music that had to be written ahead of time
Mm.
so that it could be filmed. And so I could only go off of scripts and then conversations with Rollin about what he was envisioning. But mostly, I just imagined things in my head. I imagined what it would look like in my head, and I had met with 1927, the theater company doing all the animation stuff. I'd met with them. They sent me a couple of little animations that they needed, like little stings of music for. But mostly, I was just in my head working on what I thought a vampire theater troupe in 1940s Paris would sound like. And all of it went in. All everything I wrote was in the show. Eventually, when Ben Daniel showed up on set, he recorded his monologue for me so that I could make small adjustments to the piece of music that goes under his ladies and gentlemen
Mm.
thing, um, to get the timing better. But it's almost the same as when I wrote it. Um, it was really nice synergy.
Yeah, I think as well tonally, season two, or sonically, sorry, season two is so, yes, it's similar, but it's strikingly different to me because this year or last year, I guess, because we're in 25 now. Last year was kind of shite, and I relied a lot on the season one soundtrack, an awful lot on the season one soundtrack. I listened to it a lot. It helped a lot with grieving, surprisingly.
Mm,
And season two kind of still keeps elements of that as well, but there's moments like in Armand's music, there's moments of kind of whimsy or more lightheartedness to it. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the art that you put out into the world because it is beautiful and it's gorgeous when it accompanies the show. But even just, for me on a more personal level, it meant a lot to me last year. So thank you.
you're welcome. I'm glad, Katie. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being here and for agreeing to sit down and talk the shit with me for 40 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
I
It's a
know
real
you're a
thing.
busy person, so I will let you get back to creating music that is undoubtedly going to break hearts and be tattooed on bodies, hopefully in season three.
We'll we'll do this again once season 3 is out. We can talk about the songs and stuff.
Oh, that would be great. I don't think you want to agree to that because I'll wreck your head. I'll be like, okay, so in song three, line four, I have a question about the pre-chorus. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I'll reach out once season three is finished, whenever that is, once it finished is airing. That'll be great. Thank you. But yeah, go on. Again, thank you so much for sharing your time and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks. You too, Katie. Have a good day.